second chance in the game.
Awesome. How's everybody doing? My name's Stephen Wasil, Albion College Football. We're going to go through a couple presentations here. First one, talk about kind of our mindset, our culture, our philosophy that we like to use at Albion to kind of set the tone for what we expect out of our guys offensively. Just kind of a quick bio of kind of how we got here. I graduated and played at Albion College. Graduated in 2006, played quarterback, ended up being able to play arena football for 7 years, and in 2013, the coach I played for called me and offered me the quarterback's position. He was promoting the offensive line coach who I played with at Albion to offensive coordinator, and so we ended up installing this offense together, myself and Dustin Buer. We did that in 2013. And we've been working together ever since. And Coach Buer actually just recently got promoted to head coach. I got promoted to offensive coordinator. So we're keeping kind of a seamless transition here on offense. So just real quick, kind of a timeline of kind of how we developed this. Like I said, 2013 was the first year we implemented this offense. We did learn from Noel Mazzoni. In 13, it was pretty verbatim for kind of what he was teaching us and telling us how to do things. We had to buy all in. It was a complete overhaul of what we were doing with the spread up tempo, no huddle stuff, RPO, all that. We kind of dove right in and went all in on that. And then it kind of evolved. The next spring we kind of started to throw our own personalities in there and ended up making not changes, overhauls or anything like that, but just kind of you saw more of who Coach Buer and who I were moving forward. You can see in 2014 and 15 we were pretty explosive on offense. We were pretty solid. Running the football, we were pretty solid. Throwing the football, scoring some points, being efficient on offense. 16 and 17 we struggled a little bit, right? And some of that's because of what this presentation is. We didn't do a great job of getting our guys to buy into the culture, getting them to buy into the mindset we wanted. So it was kind of stepping stones from 16 to 17. In 17, we got a little bit better with the culture, and then in 18, we felt like our guys bought in a lot more than they had the previous 2 years. In 2015, we were one of the best offenses in the country. We were number 2 in conference history, and we're one of the best offenses in school history. So, then we went to 16 where we were 1-9 and one of the worst offenses in the country. So to us, that was a learning moment as coaches for what we needed to do and make sure, right, it's not necessarily all the plays you're running, it's how your guys are buying into it and what they're getting out of your culture and the things that you want to create to make you an effective offense, no matter what you're running, right? So again, we've been pretty successful for the 6 years. Coach Buer and I have been working this offense together. We've been number 1 offense in the conference, and 3 of the 6 years we've been top 5 in the country in Division III in total offense, and we've been up there, as I say, number 9, number 6, and number 7 in scoring in those years we're nationally ranked. So. That's just, again, kind of a little timeline of us starting in 13, and that was my first year ever coaching. I played quarterback, never coached receivers, so I was quarterbacks, receivers in 13, trying to figure my way out. And then Coach Buer and I kind of working together, we ended up sharing an office for the last 4 years, so that helped a lot to make sure we could be efficient. So the mindset and culture, right? And we'll hit these things as we go through. Toughness, tempo, finish. We'll talk about those. One play, 100%. Passion, enthusiasm, and trust. That comes from Coach Buer and kind of how he attacks the day. And he's a passionate guy, enthusiastic guy. He wants people to trust him, so he wears his emotions on his sleeves. And there's no gray area with them, and that's a great way for us to show that you can trust us. We'll talk about the 8 core concepts that we believe make us successful, the system foundations, kind of things that we believe are important in the system, and then we'll talk about the 4 to 6 yards there at the end. So the big 3 to us, and again, kind of verbatim stuff with Noel Mazzoni, is toughness, tempo, and finish. Toughness. What do we want? We want physically tough guys. We want mentally tough guys. And kind of we have our kids define every year what mental toughness is and physical toughness is. So that's where those definitions kind of come from. But basically, for us to be mentally tough, we have to be able to overcome the highs and the lows every 12 to 15 seconds, right? We're playing with tempo. We're not huddling. You don't have time to really talk about it with your teammate if you're next to a guard or in there with your receiver buddies in the huddle. You have to be mentally tough yourself during a series to overcome those highs and lows, right? And we also, as coaches, we have to understand that's how we want to play. So we can't let that affect us. We have to be able to also be mentally tough enough to, hey, they made a mistake, we got to go on to the next one, or we had a big play, that's great, we got 40 yards, now we need to snap the ball again. So we got to kind of lock in there too. Physical toughness, obviously being able to impose your will on an opponent every 12 to 15 seconds. Part of that physical toughness we talk with our guys goes back to the season ends, whatever, you get 2 weeks off, whatever your strength coach tells your guys, and then you're going to get back into the weight room. Well, that's when you start to work on the physical toughness, right? Getting after it in the weight room, making sure you're putting on good weight, getting stronger, putting yourself in a position to be more successful. And then the mental toughness stuff comes from experiences in games and understanding that I've overcome this before, so I'll be solid at doing this again. And we want to be the same guy every day. We want to be the same guy every play. I want to be the same coach every day. And we always have to tell our kids, because they can take that one of two ways. If we're being the same guy every day, that's not being a bad teammate. That's not being a terrible football player who doesn't want to listen to what they're supposed to do. That's being a guy who shows up on time, works hard, does things the right way, competes every play, and gets after it. So being the same guy every day, not the bad player, the good player, right? We want you to be the best you can be, and not everybody's going to be a all-league player or an all-American, but you need to be the best player you can be every single day. So that's toughness to us. Tempo. So we need to create the tempo, right? And there's no other way to do it than to create that tempo in practice. And if you're thinking of going to tempo, or you are a tempo guy and you feel you're struggling with the tempo, and you got to put, when you're at practice, you got to put the coach aside for that 8-minute 7-on-7 period or that 20-minute team period, and just let the kids play and record practice and make the corrections after that. You got to create the tempo in practice. You got to get after it. You can't stop practice in order to make the corrections. Now, obviously, if there's a huge issue, they just can't get it, then yes, obviously you'll need to maybe stop practice there. But generally speaking, if we're in a team session, we're not stopping practice. We're getting after it. We're playing fast. We're trying to snap the ball as quick as we can get it set. And we got to keep it simple, right? So if we're trying to get complicated and now we've got to use, 13 or 14 words on a wristband, and we got to get 8 or 9 hand signals in to call a play. That makes it a little bit more complicated, a little bit tougher to play with tempo. So we're going to try and keep it as simple as possible, with also giving ourselves an advantageous position to be successful. But we want our kids to play fast and not think as much. So let's keep it simple, get them doing a lot of the same things over and over again, which is the next one. Don't change a play. Again, this is right from Mazzoni. Don't change the play, change the presentation, right? So we want our kids up front doing the same thing on the run scheme. Regardless of what the front is, or regardless of what formation we're in, they need to be doing the same things. Same with the passing game, right? If we're calling a 3-man flood, I don't care what formation we're in, they're doing the same thing. We're just going to change the presentation for the defense, so they have to kind of adjust and make different calls based on how we're aligned, and we're going to do the same thing. Quarterback's going to be reading the same thing. So we want to stay in the same formation and personnel if we can during a drive. That's big in creating tempo, right? If we sub, the refs are going to stop us from snapping the football so the defense can sub. So make sure your base plays for sure can all be run out of similar formations, personnel groupings, right? Once you get in there, you should be able to stay with your H-back in the game for, if it ends up being a 9-play drive, he should be in there for 9 plays. Again, some situations you got to switch up based on what a defense does, but generally speaking, we're trying to stay in the same personnel grouping more than formation, I guess. Play as fast as the officials will allow. You know, they'll want to, some guys want to hold on to the ball and kind of slow things down. Other guys will just get it set and ready for play and let you go. So as fast as they'll let you play. And then we're always looking for ways to play faster for the tempo. Our kids thrive. We get the first down. We can start playing with tempo. We can start using tempo words, and we don't have to signal in as much. Our kids tend to thrive when that happens, and you just see a different energy about themselves, as opposed to us trying to contemplate like, well, we got to come up with the perfect play call. Just let the kids play, let the kids have fun on Saturdays, and I think you'll see a little bit better there with the tempo. And then we just talked to our kids about the kind of 3 basic tempos that we use. Regular tempo, right? We're trying to snap the ball with about 15 to 18 seconds left on the play clock. 2-word tempo, 22 to 26 seconds left on the play clock. And then 28 to 32 seconds left if we're going a 1-word tempo play there. And then finish, you know, once the ball's declared, we want our guys to finish the play, right? And like a quarterback, zone read, carry out your fake, right? Or if you're handing it off and you got a RPO tag to it, you know, fake the throw or carry out your run fake there. Skill position guys looking for work, right? So find a block, spring a first down or spring a touchdown. Don't just, the ball's declared, it goes to somebody else and you don't have the ball. So now the play's done, no, finish, and find a block, find something to do on the football field to help your buddy out, to help your teammate out so he can be successful. And the O-line guys maintain hat for a hat mentality and staying on your guy for the duration of the play, right? Or if your guy falls down and the ball carrier's passed, maybe start working downfield, see if you can pick something up. All that stuff, right, that we talk about for finish first has nothing to do with anybody having the football. That's all about helping somebody else out, helping your teammate out, putting your team before yourself and being unselfish by making sure you can get on a block for somebody else. You can finish a play without the football for somebody else. We get our guys to buy into that one. That's when we've been really explosive. That's when we've been top offense in the country, when they start to figure that out and they start to buy into that. You know, once you do get the ball right, we're recruiting guys. We know they can catch football, run with the football, QBs can throw it, all that kind of stuff. So we know that's what they want to do. Getting them to do the first part, what they might not necessarily want to do, is the big thing. So if you do get the ball right, you got to make the first guy miss, and you got to get yards after contact. So even if it's a bang play, trying to fall forward, get that extra half yard, that extra yard, at the end of the day, those can add up to be pretty big for us. So those are things we want our guys to concentrate on once they do get the football. Playing through the echo of the whistle. You know, Coach Buer coaching the O-line guys like, hey, I want the umpire to come over to me and say, hey, tell your guys to pull back a little bit. They're getting real close to blocking after the whistle. Like, that's through the echo of the whistle, right? So once that happens, hopefully early in the first quarter, we tell our guys to rein it back a little bit, but that's the mindset we want to come out at the beginning of the game. And then hand the ball to the nearest official. That's how you finish the play. If you're a ball carrier, you get tackled, you go out of bounds, get it to the nearest official so they can start getting it set and ready for play so we can snap the ball again faster, right? That's the end goal here. Snap the ball fast, finish. Here's some clips that we'll take a look at, just kind of how we expect our guys to finish, right? So the receiver at the bottom of the screen, he's going to end up getting a ball here. The running backs, the one on the left, he also has the opportunity to get the ball. And I know those two guys want the ball. Let's just take a look at the running backs here. That's all we want to take a peek at, how the running backs are playing. Pass downfield. Now we see both running backs, right? It clicks. Hey, I got to finish this play. Didn't necessarily spring a touchdown, but they had the mindset that we want for our guys, for our skill guys. Same thing here. We'll watch the receivers at the top of the screen. We're going to have some blocking going on up there, specifically the number 1 and number 2 receiver. we're running some zone read stuff here. So the quarterback gets a pull read. You can see the number 1 and number 2 receiver working their assignments. Now the ball's declared. Good job there by number 1. He kind of missed on a guy, but then got back engaged, right? He's going to miss there on the corner. Now he's getting back engaged. Number 2 receiver just looking for work. I don't know if the guy he's going to get on is going to make the difference in the play, but we say make it one less guy that the ball carrier has to worry about. And then the last one for finish, here comes kind of a jet sweep look for us. And if we watch the receiver at the top of the screen, this is a great example to our guy. I mean, everybody's doing a pretty good job on this, but specifically if you're watching the backside receiver, he's working all the way across to the other sideline, other numbers. He ends up getting on 2 guys. And again, did that make the difference? I don't know for sure, but it gave us a better chance to get in the end zone when you take a look at those clips there. One play, 100%, right? We're going to play the next play, and we want the next man up. We always had to do, sometimes things go pretty well for us, get pretty easy in a game sometimes, and we're just picking up big chunks of yards, and our guys can lose sight of, we focused on that one play, and we did it at the best of our ability, 100%, and that's what made it seem easy, right? It wasn't easy, but that's what made it seem easy. So when they lose focus of the one play, 100% mentality, things can get a little bit more difficult for us. So don't focus on the end result of the play, the series, a quarter, or a half. Let's just stay in the now and focus on the one play, right? Coach Saban's the process, and what he talks about, going through the process and making sure you're doing all that stuff. Our now head coach, Coach Buer, hammered this into our guys when he was the offensive coordinator on the offense side of the ball. Think of the root, not the fruit, right? So we got to dig a hole. We got to put a seed in there. We got to cover it. We got to water it. We got to fertilize it. Do whatever we need to do to make sure the soil's rich and nutrient. We got to worry about building that root and getting that into the ground and getting that established. And once we concentrate on taking care of the root, obviously we should expect the fruit to come from that. So we're really hammering that with our guys. We say the root, not the fruit, and they kind of understand, hey, one play, 100%. Same stuff, right? Winning the game doesn't happen on the first play or in the first quarter. So don't let that discourage you. Hey, we got a great game plan. We're feeling really good about what we're doing. We know what the defense is going to do. And then it doesn't go great in the first quarter, right? Or the first drive, we have to go 3-and-out, we have to punt. Well, that's fine. That happens. The game, whether it's good or bad, whether we scored on the first drive or the first play in the first quarter, or we punted and maybe we've only scored 3 points and it's 2 minutes till halftime, the game's not over, right? And either way it goes, we got to keep playing one play 100%, execute one play with 100% effort. One thing we had to come up with, I believe this was middle of the season in 2013, is our guys were kind of thinking about the whole picture instead of just focusing on the little things, right? So we kind of came up with this process for them that we talked to our guys about. The little things are equaling the big things, whether that's positive or negative, right? So if you're doing the little things wrong a lot, that's going to equal a lot of wrong big things, a lot of negative big things. So we want to obviously stay on the positive side there of doing the little things. And basically, if you break it down in a play, concentrate on, or a game or a series or whatever, concentrate on that play, the assignment, that play, concentrate on just what we need to get a first down, right? We don't need to get 3 first downs. We need to get a first down. We need to get through that one series to get a one score, right? So that's kind of how, again, I think that was 2013. We had to break it down for our guys, quit looking at we didn't score in the game. Look at it as we didn't score for that series. So now we need to come back with one assignment for the next play and move forward from there. And then just doing all that stuff till the final whistle, right? I don't know if it's going to be 60 minutes. I don't know if there's going to be 3 overtimes. We can't tell our guys that. We can't predict the future. So until you hear the final whistle and the referees are running off the field because the game's over, you just continuously play one play 100%. All right, so passion, enthusiasm, and trust. And this comes a lot from our head coach now, Dustin Buer. Like I said, offense coordinator before that. So this is, like I said, I shared an office with him for the last 4 years before he got promoted. So he just kind of rubbed off on me, right? You got to be passionate, enthusiastic, and people got to trust you with what you're talking about. So to us, we just define it how the dictionary defines it, right? Passion, a strong and barely controllable emotion. Enthusiasm, intense and an eager enjoyment, interest, or approval in something or someone. And trust is a firm belief in the reliability, truth, ability, or strength of someone or something, right? So this is something we want to preach to our guys constantly, because regardless of what you're doing, and this is in life as well, right? Regardless of what you're doing, if you're not passionate about it, you're not enthusiastic about it, you can't trust yourself, you can't trust the people around you, you're not going to be successful at anything. And I don't care if it's, schoolwork or getting after it in the classroom, preparing yourself for the future in the business world. If you're working in a job, like if you're not passionate about what you're doing at Quicken Loans or some type of sports psychology place, like it doesn't matter, right? If you're not passionate about it, you're not enthusiastic about it, it's not going to be fun, you're not going to be good at it, you're not going to put everything into it. So our guys need to understand that we have to love what we're doing. If you don't love what you're doing, then why are you here, right? So if some guys choose to leave the program because of that, then obviously those are guys that we might not be able to be successful with. So good that they recognized, hey, I can't be passionate, enthusiastic like you guys are, so I'm going to kind of get myself removed from the situation. And then we kind of got a little bit of the pyramid there with the team ego first, right? So anything I do has got to be directed towards the team. And once everybody starts to realize everybody's doing that, right, then we start to build that trust. Then everybody can be on a common purpose that will kind of get the group going in the right direction. And hopefully if you get those two things established and people start showing that, hey, I don't care if I get 12 touches today or if I only get one snap today, it doesn't matter to me what I'm doing. I want to make sure that one snap helped the team and put the team in a position to be successful. And that starts to build the trust with everybody. You start to see the commitment and you start to see the accountability that everybody's trying to work towards that team ego. So again, we're spread up tempo, no huddle. If we're not passionate, enthusiastic about that, we won't be good at it. Same with the wing tee. You got to love it. You got to be passionate about it for it to be successful. It doesn't matter what you do. I think those are just things in general that you got to attack life with. 8 core concepts. This was another thing we kind of created in 2013. Again, that was the first year me coaching, Coach Buer, working on calling the plays, offensive coordinating. Guys were kind of unsure. I think we started that year like 1-2 or 1-3. I can't quite remember off the top of my head. We ended up winning a league championship, but just like the little things equal the big things, we had to kind of come up with this middle of the season or something like that, just so guys had like another little checklist. And this was more for like play to play. The little things equal the big things was an assignment, a play, kind of working through a series. We just need to focus on this one thing. This was, hey, what do I need to do each play? Communication, stance, alignment, assignment, footwork, right? Those are things that are important on every single play. I got to communicate. If I'm the center, I got to communicate what protection call is, who we're sliding to. If I'm a receiver and we're blocking and we got 3 guys out there, we have to communicate who we're going to block. So communication is huge with what we're trying to accomplish. Stance, you got to have a specific stance or an alignment kind of based on where you need to be successful. So those are 2 things we kind of threw in there. And obviously there's going to be an assignment that you have to get after, and there's going to be proper footwork to do it. We had a lot of guys just kind of forget in that 2013 year, early in the year, like they forgot, like, oh, I got to focus on my assignment and how do I get there properly with my feet to be successful. And then the attitude, effort, and executions thing for the 8 core concepts. Yes, we want you to focus on those first 5 things, but at the end of the day, let's have a great attitude about it. Let's do it with phenomenal effort, and let's execute at a high level, right? So attitude is just a settled way of thinking or feeling about someone or something. Efforts, vigorous or determined attempt at something. And then execution is carrying out or putting into effect a plan, order, or course of action, right? So to us, those were the main three of these 8 core concepts. If we can kind of get, communicate and lined up in about where we need to be and we know what we're supposed to do, then let's do it with great attitude, effort, and execution, and that should help us be successful at the end of the play. The system foundation, this was, again, just kind of, we'll show our players this, it's in the playbook. This is actually kind of the presentation we give our kids on day 1 at camp so they know what to expect. So these aren't things we necessarily hammer into our kids. We want them to know about it. Obviously, other things we think are really, really important. These are also kind of great reminders for us as coaches, because you can get in a game plan and you can get in a situation where you want to do a lot of stuff, or you kind of lose sight of maybe you are being successful or maybe you're not being successful. What do we need to do to get back to being successful? So kind of the foundations of what we want to do and what we want to create. So this is kind of a little bit more for us, I guess you could say, but we want to keep it simple, right? We talked about that. We want to make sure it's obviously got to be put us in a position to be successful, so it might seem complicated, but let's wrap it a lot so it seems more simple and our guys are comfortable doing it so we can be successful. Effective communication. We talked about that with the 8 core concepts, but even us as coaches, right? Like, well, let's not blame the kid every single time for not doing the assignment right. How did I explain it to him? How did I communicate it to him? Was it my fault? Did I not do a good job? Did I not draw it up properly? Did I not use the right words to get the message across to the player? Did I not have a drill that made sense to the guys, and that's why everybody's messing it up? So don't just always think that the kid can't do it. Did I effectively communicate it to them? And they have to communicate back, right? They have to be willing to say, like, hey, coach, I don't get that. Or will you explain this part again? So that's also part of it, but don't always just look at the kid and think he's the one that's going to be wrong in this situation. Practice, play with tempo, we talked about that, right? So we haven't lost focus of that. That's when our guys like to have fun. When they do have fun is when we're playing fast, and practice doesn't seem like it's dragging because we're just snapping plays and we're going to the next drill and we're going to the next period of practice. So that one's a little easier to keep track of. But again, you gotta, if you want to play with the tempo, you gotta practice with the tempo. Ball security is huge. Got to take care of the football, and that's not necessarily just don't turn the football over. That's obviously important, but hey, if your assignment as a receiver is to block on a screen and the quarterback's going to throw it out there as soon as it hits his hand and you whiff on the block and that kid catches it, gets hit right away, and now the refs determine it's a fumble, like, that's not the kid's fault that was trying to catch a pass. You didn't do your assignment, so you put him in harm's way to help turn the football over, right? Or, O-linemen or running backs and pass pro, don't think pick happens just because the quarterback throws it and now it gets intercepted and now it's the quarterback's fault. What happened? Did you miss the guy? Did you whiff on a guy and now the quarterback got hit as he threw, right? So all that stuff kind of ties in. It's not just necessarily the guy who's has the football that has to protect it and have great ball security, but everybody kind of has to have a team mindset of, I need to do my job to make sure we protect the football and have great ball security. Must run the football. We are spread, we are up tempo. I'm a former quarterback, so I like to throw the football, but for us to be successful, we have to run the football. We have to find ways that we can create advantageous situations for ourselves in the run game. When we can run the football here at Albion, we can be right up there as a top offense in the country and compete for our conference championship year in and year out. So that's the mindset there. The years where we're not running the football so well, it's a little bit tougher. The passing yards still seem to stay the same, but it is tougher to win football games when we can't run the football. Hat for a hat, we talked about that, right? And kind of my mentality with that is, if you're on a guy, you're a hat for a hat. you stay on that guy, and he should not be the one making the play at the end of the day. He should not come off your block. He should not come off your hat to come and tackle the football. My office is right next to our D coordinator's office, so I hear them talking all the time during the season about we have to get better in space. We have to get better tackling in space. So our job is, we have all these great athletes on offense, is to find a way to create that space. So now it is, hey, you got to come and try and find a way to tackle this guy from 10 yards away in open field. So it's our job to create that space and make the defense tackle in space. We want to attack the defense, right? We don't necessarily want to be like, well, if the defense calls this, we shouldn't really do this. Like, that's fine to think that way, I guess, but then you're kind of waiting to see what happens instead of like, well, I'm going to call this because this is what we do, and we're successful at it, and our kids love it, and they want to do it, so we're just going to call it, and we're going to attack them. We're not just going to kind of play defense on offense. We're going to get after the defense and make them have to – I want them to adjust after a series and be like, we got to get lined up quicker. We might only be able to call our base plays because they're just snapping the football. So that's something we want to kind of try and create here on the offensive side of the ball. Fix the problems within the play, and that's just kind of, you know, your O-line's progression for how they're blocking different things. If they give us a front we haven't seen, they should have some rules to kind of take care of that. RPO-wise, if the defense does this, what can the quarterback do? Because I can't predict. I have a decent idea maybe of what the defense is going to do, but I can't predict exactly what they're going to do. So let me give tools to the quarterbacks, receivers, running backs, O-line, where they can adjust on the fly based on what they're seeing and make us successful. And 4 to 6 yards, right? So all that stuff we just talked about, all the stuff we just went through about the culture, the mindset, what we might need to do as coaches, as explosive as we think we can be, all we want to do is concentrate on that for 4 to 6 yards at a time, and that's it. That's all we tell our guys to worry about is one. Basically, at the end of the day, right in the game, if we're struggling and things aren't going well, we feel like our guys are kind of on edge and antsy, like, hey guys, one play, 100% for 4 to 6 yards. That's all we need to do. Just concentrate on that. And if we can do that over and over and over again and kind of keep that culture and that mindset going at 4 to 6 yards, that's kind of all we need to worry about. And the years we've been really good at concentrating on that and being able to do that, we've put ourselves in a position to, put ourselves in a position to be one of the best offenses in the country, score a lot of points, get a lot of people involved on offense. So 4 to 6 yards, that's it. All those other slides, like, let's just concentrate on all that for 4 to 6 yards. Don't think about anything too big. 4 to 6 yards at a time. Offensive philosophy stuff. We'll just kind of go through what we think with the spread up tempo, no huddle stuff, and kind of how we try and implement it. And again, with Noel Mazzoni, he kind of set us in the right direction there in 2013. And then this will be kind of offensive balance, right? So to us, offensive balance is make them defend all 11 guys on the field. Our O-line guys, if making them defend those guys, not there's a weak link up there, but they all kind of work together to make sure it's one solid unit. Skill guys, right? All that kind of stuff. We don't think of it, we don't want to think of it as run versus pass. We have to snap the ball and hand it off 40 times, and we have to snap the ball and throw it 40 times. That's not necessarily what we're thinking, 50-50 type stuff. It's although we want to run the football, we're also not going to beat our heads against the wall. So if they want to defend with 7 in the box against our 6, then let's make them defend the other 4 guys that we can put out there and see if they can keep up with us throwing screens or running verticals or whatever it is. So make them defend all 11. Even if it's a sub, right? We're going to create an offense. We said keep it simple. So when we get guys coming in as freshmen or a guy who's now a sophomore who hasn't played a lot, like if we need to sub a receiver in or sub a running back in, they're going to be able to run that game plan just as well as they're going to know it just as well as the first team guy, right? So we want to make sure all 11 are able to play, whether it's the starting 11 or now a guy gets tired or gets banged up and has to come out. We're like, if we're putting in a backup receiver, the defense shouldn't think, oh, they're never going to throw it to this kid. The defense should be like, man, we've seen this kid catch, 3 passes last week, and he only played 6 snaps. So they should have to defend that kid. QB being a run and pass threat, right? And I'm not talking, the Mike Vicks or Lamar Jacksons, or for you older guys, the Eric Crouches of the world. I'm talking like, can you get us 4 to 6 yards? Because if they don't want to honor you, all we need is 4 to 6 yards, right? We just told you that on the previous slide. So can you pull and get us 4 to 6 yards? That's a run threat to us. Now they have to worry about that, because on 3rd and 3, fine, don't worry about our quarterback. He'll pull it and he'll get up the first down because we're getting 4 to 6, right? So running backs, obviously running the football, but can you be a receiving threat? Can you come out of the backfield and the defense has to adjust and say, hey, that's an actual threat in the backfield to release to the 3 receiver side and make a 4-by-1, or run a wheel down the sideline and he can catch the football pretty well. Wide receivers, the first one there, blocking. Like, if you don't want to block for us and that's not something you want to do, then the defense doesn't have to defend you when we hand the ball off. Well, then don't play for us, right? So you got to be able to block. You have to be a threat to block. That's part of the game, and they should have to legitimately be concerned with a receiver, like, how am I going to get off his blocks? I need to work on that this week, and maybe not work as much on defending the pass, whatever it is. So get after there, and obviously the receiving threat. O-line, can you play on both sides? If you're in, we're going to run things to the both sides as well. So it's not just, hey, our strong side's over here, we're going to run this way the whole time. No, we're going to make them defend all 11 and go both ways. Putting the defense in conflict and let them determine where the ball should go, right? And that's part of not beating our heads against the wall. So we have answers built into the system where if they want to really hammer us in the run game, or they want to play too high and kind of spread the defense out and take away our receivers, then we're going to kind of be able to go inside on that stuff. So let them determine. And then situations, that's where it might change a little bit. Now we might think more specifically about a single player or a single play that gets this player in a position to help us be successful, whether it's 3rd and 7 or it's, on the 5-yard line, and we got a freshman kid who's not ready to play 80 snaps a game, but he's 6'4", 240-pound tight end who can go up and get the ball. I don't know, but he can't block consistently or something like that, so we might get him in for a jump ball situation. So that's kind of where that might change for us. Here's offensive balance, right? Putting the defense in conflict. This is just a look at from this previous season, week 2 game and week 3 game. You see the points there pretty similar, right? 56, 57, 77 snaps in week 2, 86 snaps in week 3. Yards were pretty close there, both over 600 yards total offense in the game. We did it 2 completely different ways. Passing yards in week 2, we had 466 to rushing yards of 206, which still isn't bad, right? We're thinking over 200 yards rushing, we can be pretty successful. And then you see the next week, week 3, 195 passing yards and 442 rushing yards. Kind of running our same base plays. The defense in week 2 said, I don't think your receivers and quarterback can beat us. So we had to prove it, right? We had to go out and execute and prove it. And then in week 3, they said, oh man, it looks like they can be pretty successful. Let's see if you can prove to us you can run the ball against us. And we ended up doing that. And those were actually, for this group of guys coming in this year, after the 1-9 and 4-6 season, that was a big for us, for our guys to actually prove to themselves, like, hey, we can throw it around if we need to, or we can keep it inside and we can run it. I think that week we're rushing yards. We had two running backs over 100 yards, maybe even over 150. I don't remember quite off the top of my head, but that was just let the defense kind of dictate where they want the ball to go. Don't just say I have to run the football, right? Because they might not want you to run the football. So maybe you got to deal it out to the receivers, or not throw it and deal it to the backs a little more. Get your quarterback involved with some zone read stuff or whatever it might be. Again, with the balance, just our thoughts, like our goal every year is to have 2 running backs with over 100 carries, and we're trying to get at least 6 is kind of the goal, 10 plus receptions, if not more, for 6 different receivers. And again, that's just part of what we believe in to make them defend all 11, right? If we've got one receiver with 90 catches and everybody else is well under 15, we need multiple guys to have at least 30 catches, so they do have to defend that. Same with the running backs. If we got one running back, right, if we hand the ball off in a season 280 times and one guy's got 250 of the carries, well, now that's going to kind of let the defense know when the other running back's in, we don't have to worry about the run threat there. So that's part of our philosophy. The years we've been really good on offense, you can see 14 we had 2 that were over 100, and 15 we had 3, including our quarterback, which was not designed run game. It's pretty much just zone read stuff, letting the defense dictate. And then in 18 we had 2 guys, and our quarterback, he actually sat out a game and a half with an injury, so he probably would have got 100 carries this year himself as well. So run game wise, we're run pass option based RPO stuff. This was kind of from this year what we did, and it kind of evolves based on, like in 2013, 14, and 15, we were inside zone, outside zone, pin pull, and power. Our O-line was pretty efficient at all 4 of them, so we were able to do it. After the 1-9 and 4-6 season, we said we're just going to get good at inside zone and hammer that out. And if we need to, maybe implement pin pull, which I think we did for a handful of snaps this year. But we legitimately, I just went through it the other day, 97% of the time, almost 98% of the time, we ran inside zone or some type of variation. So we just said, let's be good at it. Teams knew we were going to run it. We knew we were going to run it. The fans would complain that we'd run it so much until, we went for 265 a game this year on the ground. So it ended up being pretty successful. And then pass option stuff, this was actually probably a year where we were down a little bit percentage-wise. We did some more just kind of straight handoffs, and it just kind of depends on the year. But about 90% of our run plays would be tagged there. So and we got different levels that we'll read there when we need to. So that's who we were. Like I said, we've had power. We've done one back power. The 2014 year, we were pretty solid at one back power with the looks we were getting from some of the defenses. So, you can kind of throw whatever you want to be good at, whatever you're passionate and enthusiastic about, get after. This year we just said, screw it, let's do inside zone stuff. Passing game, progression reads or post safety, split safety stuff. Like my goal is to keep it to a rule of 4. And when I say a rule of 4, I mean like 4 concepts, so if this is a progression read where we're going to work this side of the field to that side of the field, or it's kind of the same every time, keep it to a rule 4 there. If we're going to base the read of the quarterback off of post safety or split safety, let's keep that to a rule of 4 as well. Because we can draw up as many plays as you guys want, but what are we going to be good at? How are we going to be successful at them? And again, this evolves over time based on the quarterback we have and the arm strength and the route running ability of the receivers. Can we go a little bit deeper downfield? Do we have the O-line to protect that? So this is just kind of a moving thing, but I can get the guys pretty good at 4 concepts of how pieces fit together and making the QB's reads. So let's just be really good at those 4 things, and let's come up with 45 different ways to do them, right? So changing the presentation, not changing the play. So that's kind of how we do it. That's, if we get to a point where, hey, this is a different progression for the quarterback, or this is a different read for the quarterback, and now we're on 6 concepts, it's like, okay, well, which one aren't we good at? Okay, get rid of it. We're not even going to worry about it. We're not even going to work on it. How do we do it? This is how we do it, right? Simplicity, we talked about that, trying to keep it simple as far as doing the same plays and the same reads, whether it's the O-line, receivers, running backs, quarterbacks. Let's keep that stuff the same and do it out of different personnel groupings formations, emotions, and alignments. We know on offense, communicating is important to be successful. Whether you're blocking in the trenches, whether it's a receiver communicating with a receiver, quarterback communicating with a receiver on what route or site adjustment they might need to make. So let's move around, let's align differently, make the defense communicate, hopefully get their eyes off of where they're supposed to be looking, give us a little bit of advantage there. This year, this was kind of the personnel groupings we use, right? We have to adjust to our team. Our guys this year weren't big up front to run power as well as we had in 2014. And the 2015 group was really good at outside zone and pin pull. So we adjust the plays a little bit, right? The same basic premises is there, but we adjust the plays a little bit, just like our personnel. So 3 wide receivers, 2 running backs. If we only have 2 running backs that we feel confident to put in the game, we're probably running less 2-back stuff because we don't want them on the field at the same time, risking injury or something like that. Now we might have a couple plays here and there, but this year we had 3, 4 running backs we felt really good about. So we ran a lot of 2-back stuff, and we're able to kind of run some more scheme, more plays out of that stuff. Tight end H-back, same thing. The next one down there. Last year, we didn't have a tight end H-back. This season, we did have a tight end H-back that we could put in there, so we got to run more of those formations and stuff. That would be stuff that you kind of got to go year to year about what you can do. We had 7, 8 offensive linemen we felt really good about, so we had some 6 offensive linemen personnel groupings. And again, even though there's 6 linemen in there, we're running the same stuff. They're running inside zone. They're doing the same 3-man slide protections. We just get an extra guy in there that can block a little bit better than a tight end or H-back. But again, all that stuff is kind of stuff that we want to do to put ourselves in the best position possible. This is just kind of changing the play, not changing the play, but changing the presentation. So, this is a second level read for us, and we'll specifically concentrate here on the F receiver and kind of moving him around, right? So this would be making sure the receivers are getting to the same spots and having the same thought process. They might have to get there a little bit different, but this is just kind of how we would change the presentation, not necessarily the play or the read, right? So all those receivers, when we put our H-back in, which we try and keep, although he's an H-back, we try and keep him the same as what receiver he's learning, right? So he's the F receiver in this personnel grouping. So now he's the F receiver when we put him at the H-back. Obviously a different guy, but they have to learn that position. And you can see we're getting him to the same spot, right? Got kind of the screen. Now we call it an arrow. And now if we go 2-back and we motion, we kind of got the same thing going there. So that's kind of how we build it to make sure everybody's doing the same thing, reading the same thing, accomplishing the same task, and we build a little bit different presentation there. So, that's the end of my PowerPoint presentation here on the culture, the mindset, the philosophy of what we're doing. I appreciate your time. Again, you can find me on gobrits.com for my email and office number. The email is swasil@albion.edu. So if you got any questions or anything, feel free to reach out. It's always great talking ball. So hopefully get to be back soon and do this with you guys. Thank you.